worship Him with everything we have this morning. When I made the roughest water, I won't go under, I won't drown. And when I made over my head, I know that you won't let me down. And when I'm broken and down to nothing, I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good. Yeah. You've been through the deepest valley. You go before me, you are here. For I know you'll never leave me. Your love surrounds me, I won't fear. And when I'm broken and down to nothing, I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good. If through the darkest night you are on my side, you are always faithful. Through my fear and doubt, you will lead me out. You are always able. Through the darkest night, you are on my side. You are always faithful. Through my fear and doubt, you will lead me out. You are always able. Oh, you're faithful, God. I know that you are always up to something good. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good. You'll make a way whatever it takes. There's nothing your love won't endure. I know that you are always up to something good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we praise you this morning. Oh, we praise you this morning. Yeah. Well, 1 Corinthians, it says we can't even fathom the good things that God has in store for those who love Him. He's continually working for our good. So let's sing this out. Let's continue to worship together. I give you glory for all you brought me through. And now I'm ready for whatever you want to do. I'm moving forward to follow after you. And now I'm ready for whatever you want to do. Oh, sing your presence. Your presence.
When our homes are hit by heartbreak, let your presence meet us there. When the pain seems overwhelming, we hold on to you. When the streets are torn by chaos, when the hands, your hands and feet, when the darkness brings division, may we be your light. We know our world needs Jesus, and we know our world needs freedom. So give us eyes to see the hurting and the broken. Let our lives align with every word you say. When the nations ache from violence, we will be your blessed peace. When the headlines scream injustice, may we shout your name. 'Cause we know our world needs Jesus. This heart needs healing. So from my knees I lift this prayer to you, my Savior. For my life and for the world, you're the answer, Jesus.
Would you pray with me? So Jesus, we declare that you are the answer. God, we thank you that as we walk in this morning, God, that we come into your presence because of your grace, because of your love for us. You've desired us. You've pursued us, God. God, I pray for somebody that's new here today, that they would just have the sense of peace, that they are in the right place, that they're loved, that you have plan and purpose, God. So, God, I pray that this morning that you would use this morning to fill us with a sense of vision, a sense of purpose. What were we made for? What are we called for? Is there more to life that you're calling us to get in the game on? And Jesus, as we've been serving and during Serve Week, as we kind of launch into this next week, God, I pray that you would open up doors for us to have chances to have people wonder about who is this God we serve? Who are these people from the Bridge Church? And if they love me, maybe there's a God who loves me. So God, would you just open doors, bring ideas, and bring out those moments where we say, oh, I see that person. I wonder what they need. I wonder how I can help. Jesus, so God, we thank you that it's an honor to know you and to be in a relationship with you and to serve other people in your name. We love you, Jesus. Amen. Amen. Hey, guys, go ahead and give a little wave to somebody and grab a seat. Oh, that was so polite of you. Yeah. Hey, my name is Craig. If we haven't met, I'm one of the pastors here at the Bridge Church. And would you guys do me a favor? Would you help me welcome in everybody watching on home or online today? Let's give them a big welcome. Good. I tell you what, I'm really excited because it felt a lot more like normal because our Bridge kids reopened today. And so just watching the kids run, I heard a kid crying in church, actually not in church, in a kid's room. I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. There's kids, and I don't usually say that. So not awesome because I like when kids cry, but it just felt like normal. There you go. And so, yeah, if you're at home and you're thinking about coming back, we just want you to know we are social distancing in here in kids' rooms. We're signing up ahead of time and limiting that and cleaning a bunch. And so we're ready for you to come back when you're ready. But, yeah, as we've been doing Serve Week started yesterday. So over around 200 hours were already served by people. There's free car wash. There was people that went in and served. I know they were carrying drywall, everybody's favorite job, carrying drywall, doing this project at a women's shelter called Whatsoever You Do. And so we're jumping in. We want to encourage you to jump online if you haven't done that, or see us at Next Steps. There's projects that we have scheduled all throughout the week, or you can just kind of come up with one on your own and say, hey, my neighbor's needs some help with this. I'm going to just jump in and do that. So encourage you to get on board with that. But today we are starting a new series called Kingdom Builder. So go ahead and check out the screen.
Here's what happened. The invitation went out, and Mary, again, we look at each other sometimes and we know what each other is thinking, and she's thinking, yes, we're going to do that. And I'm saying, no, we're not going to do that. So I went, like my feet in cement, dragging, screeching all the way. I went. And needless to say, after that trip, a week later, we looked at each other and said, this is for us. This is what we're going to do in our retirement or from now on. This is us.
We really, the trip was a huge eye-opener. It was amazing. It was scary, but yet I think we both knew that we would be back. And we just really both very strongly felt that God was calling us to go back to Cambodia, but to have God just speak to us and let us know that, and we had no idea what it was going to look like, what going back to Cambodia would mean. The next year we only went for a month because I was still working. Then we went 3 months, and the next year, 6 or 7 months.
Right.
And then we did that a couple of years that we went half the year in Cambodia.
Through all these experiences, we've become entrenched. We've got our own car, we've got our own house there. So we've gone to Cambodia now the 10th time this past year. And so our major involvement, I guess I would have to say, is teaching at the YWAM base, teaching English and conversation. This year, one of the kids asked us, how many students have you had? How many kids do you know? Or how many students have you taught? And we said, well over 100 or two. And then we started looking through photographs, and it's well over 400 students.
It's the richest retirement we could ever have. And Lauren Cunningham, who's the founder of YWAM, said, "You're not retired, you're refired."
We've been able to have an influence in their heart, in their soul. They all know that we aren't there just to teach English. We're there to share Jesus and His love for you. And so we have no idea what the impact of that will be, but we know that seeds have been planted.
Come on, that is something else. Ed and Mary, they're heroes. I don't know if you have ever had a chance to meet them. They typically, when they're here for their half of the year, they're usually welcoming at the door. They're leading growth groups. They were a part of the initial launch of the Bridge Church. So 14 years ago from about this very time, we were getting ready to have our first preview service in August. And so Ed and Mary and about 8 or 9 others, we met in Oskaloosa, Smoky Row, on the second floor. And I was like, all right, so, we're going to start this church. We don't know a single person in Ottumwa. This is true. My wife and I, we moved here and we're like, we need to meet somebody. I think we knew Maria Odell, who was Maria Voss at the time, and then we knew one other couple, and they said they would never come. And so there it was, and I'm like, so what really matters? And it really became clear, the first impression, the first time you walk in the door is gonna matter at the Bridge Church. And Ed and Mary are like, we're gonna do it. And I was like, you're the old people. And but they convinced me. They said, oh no. Every single person who walks in matters to God, and it's true. I know some of you are watching online, but when it's right for you to come back, and I want to tell you, we want to welcome you with love. We're just so, we care so much. No perfect people out, but come as you are. And so Ed and Mary, they've embodied that. Now, then about 2-3 years into the Bridge Church, I'm like, we're going to Cambodia. And I remember Ed saying, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That's what he told me, and then he went, and now he can't stop going. And so, haha, Ed. And I just think the goal of today in this entire series is to help you grasp where we're going as a church. Now, maybe you've heard me talk about the mission of the Bridge. This series is about the vision, and I want to just kind of explain the mission helps walk us every single day towards the vision. Okay, so our mission is know God, find freedom, discover purpose. What's my purpose within this church? And then I want to make a difference. But that's all walking towards some out there kind of vision. And we call it Kingdom Builders, and we give it 3 words: rebuild, repair, restore. And so this series is really about where are we walking towards. And today I want to share a little bit about where we've been and where we are. And the next 2 weeks, we're going to kind of pick up some other pieces of this rebuild, repair, restore. And before I get going too far, I want to kind of alert you to this kind of thought process. What if God actually wanted to speak to you and invite you into something that you weren't really ready for? What if today, something like, oh no, he's talking to me? Have you ever had that message? It's never really me, it's the Holy Spirit. But I'm wondering if God's not going to activate something in you that says, I wonder if that's not for us. I mean, it was Ed and Mary. They were just sitting. They looked at each other. He said no. She said, we're going. And I don't think it's going to be all of you, but I'm wondering if there's going to be a moment where God's going to say hey, I'm talking to you on this one. And I think it's important to kind of just even wonder on the front end if that might not be you, because I think our tendency is to kind of put it into cruise control. And I would say it's easier now than ever before to just play it safe and stay comfortable and kind of move, I would say, away from what really matters into what's convenient. And I want to just kind of maybe activate our hearts back to God, could you help me know what really matters? I want in on what's most important. And so I want to kind of walk you through that today. And so to kind of set it up, I want to share with you where kingdom builders came from. So if you're new to church, kind of just kicking the tires of who Jesus is and God, typically we'll do series that help kind of unpack who God is. But then every once in a while, we'll kind of like, this is kind of a window into our heartbeat, what we're about. And so if you're kicking the tires, this is good for you. But if you attend all the time, it might be a good reminder of like, oh yeah, that's who we are. And I want to share with you where kingdom builders came from, all right? And so it was about 10 years ago this September that I actually saw this conference that had some speakers, and I was like, I want to go and learn from them. And so what I did was I went online and I bought a plane ticket and conference tickets for me and a few other people who are at the Bridge Church. And then I went home and I talked to my wife about it. And she said, you do know that our child is due within that week. And I said, so what are you saying? She's like, you can't go. And I'm like, but I really want to. And I actually have a plane ticket. We can't waste the Bridge's money. And so I don't know if you've ever had that kind of conversation with your spouse where it's just like, and all of a sudden God was kind of like, grow up, Marty. And I'm like, fine, stomping the whole way. I want to go do something and be selfish. And I mean, it is a baby, so I should probably be there. And so this is what I did. I was like, all right, I won't go unless God tells you I'm supposed to go. And she's like, all right, because she knows that's not happening. And then the day the team is getting ready to leave, about 30 minutes before they get in their vehicles to drive to the airport, she comes down and she goes, you're supposed to go. And I'm like, what? Go where? And she's like, to the conference. I'm like, don't play me, woman. Like, have you ever wondered if you're being tested, Like, what am I, like, she's like, no, God, I feel like she's like, this doesn't happen to me very often, but like, you're supposed to be there. And I'm like, what if I get this wrong? What if she's just saying that to see what I would really do, but I really, kind of thing? It was one of those. And so I call the guys up and I'm like, hey, I'm going. And they're like, does Jenny know? And I'm like, yeah, she knows. They're like, I don't think this is a good idea. Then she calls her mom. Her mom's mad at me, but I go. And on this trip, it was interesting. At the time, we were looking at this building for the Bridge Church to kind of activate into being able to be used for ministry. It was this old YWCA building. And while I'm there, it sells to someone else in the middle of me trying to figure out how to buy it. And I'll be honest, I was in a funk for about 6 months. Maybe it's because we had a fourth child in 5 years, and it was like, where's sleep? Where is it? It does eventually come back. But there was this moment of just kind of like, I was blue. And I don't know if you've ever done this. It was 2 in the morning in the hotel. And this is the Bible. This is the Bible I taught out of for the first 7 years of the Bridge Church. Have you ever done one of these? It's kind of like, I don't know. And as I did this, I landed in the book of Ezra. And I just started to pick it up. Now, if you don't know the storyline of Ezra, here, let me kind of snapshot it for you. God has a people that he brought them into a land called the Promised Land. And while they were there, they walked away from God. And so in the walking away, they have abandoned the one who's protecting them. And God's kind of like, I kind of want to get their attention. So he lets another nation, Babylon, come and basically pull them into captivity, hoping this would alert them that they've forgotten their true love. They've forgotten what really matters. I don't know if you've ever had God disrupt your life. I'm not saying everything that happens that's bad in your life is because God's trying to get your attention, but I wouldn't say none of it is. I think sometimes God really does allow things to come so that he could say, wake up. Like, I want you to pay attention to what really matters. And so their hearts get reactivated and God allows them to return to the Promised Land. Now, while they were gone, here's what happened. Some people moved into their land and into their houses. So they show back up after being gone for a long time and they're like, you're in my house. And so the people who kind of like stole their property, they were really mad that they were losing their stolen goods, okay? And so there's this tension that existed. And this is where we pick up the story of Ezra, chapter 4. The people who are mad at God's people are like, we're taking this to the authorities. And so in chapter 4, verse 12, it says, the king should know, and this is a letter being written by the guys who don't like God's people. This is what the king should know, that the people who came to us from you have gone to Jerusalem, and they're rebuilding that rebellious and wicked city. They're restoring the walls and repairing the foundations. And I read it, and I just circled those three words, rebuild and restore and repair. And I just found it one of the most bizarre accusations. Oh, you know those people that are helping and being kind and doing good things, they're doing it again. The people that are, loving and serving and benevolent, like they're up to it again. And I was like, what would it be like to be a part of a church that's what we're accused of? Being kind, helping people, serving. What if we were the church that oh, there they go again, rebuilding, repairing, restoring individuals' lives and a community, spiritually and physically. That's what they're about. Just that. And so when I first read it, it kind of jarred me. It's grown over time, but I kind of took those three words and I kind of set them in the shelf of my brain, and they just never really went away. And so over the last decade, we've been walking more and more into the understanding, oh boy, I just lost all my notes. Oh, they came back. All right. We've been walking more and more into these three words of rebuild. What does it look like for us to be people who rebuild? People who repair, people who restore, and I've said it, individual lives and a community, and a region, spiritually and physically. This is our heartbeat. This is what we're walking towards. This is why we want to help people know God, find freedom, discover purpose, make a difference. Because when that happens, we can become rebuilders, repairers, and restorers. And when we're doing that, that's the kingdom of God being rebuilt. So we want to be kingdom builders. And so what we have done is we've kind of tried to figure out what's the best strategy moving forward. And we picked 3 lanes that we call kingdom builders. And we let rebuild, repair, restore cover it all. They don't each have their own lane. But the one lane is growth and expansion. And this is how do we help more people in more places hear about the gospel truth that Jesus Christ is the Savior of the world. How do we help more people know God and then find their freedom? And it will require us to grow and expand what we're doing. And so and we're going to talk about that in a couple weeks. We also felt like leadership development is so crucial. Raising up a generation that is passionate about Jesus. Training those of us who want to continue to grow in our faith. And so leadership development, and that we're going to talk about that next week. And then there's this other piece called Glocal missions. Being a people who are willing to go to the ends of the earth in our own backyard. What does it look like for us to be a Glocal church in global missions? And so that's what I want to talk about today. Today is Glocal missions. Now, a few years after circling rebuild, repair, restore, I felt like God kind of put on my heart to teach a message on fasting. And this came from the words of Jesus. I don't know if you know this, but Jesus, he was talking to some people and he was giving them kind of like a 101 on life. And he said, when you pray like this. And then he had another one. He said, when you fast like this. And I just found a lot of people are willing to pray, but a lot of people had never been taught to fast. And so I kind of went to the scriptures, and there's one chapter in the Bible called True Fasting. It's Isaiah 58. And what was interesting is it became the bookend to this Ezra 4:12, rebuild, repair, restore. So I kind of want to speed through Isaiah 58 and let those kind of be kind of the basis for the scripture. And then I want to share with you what we're doing globally and what we're doing locally and how you can be a part of it. So that's the game plan. So Isaiah 58, what happened is there's some people who are churchgoers, you could say, and they're a little bit ticked at God because it doesn't seem like God's playing on their side. It seems like God's kind of against them. And so God kind of responds and he says, for day after day, they, the church people, they seek me out and they they give the indication that they're eager to know my ways. They're like, oh, I want to know more about God. As if they were a nation that does what is right and has not forsaken the commands of God. But the reality is in that scripture, he's like, They're acting like one way, but they're really another way. They seem eager and they think they're doing things right, but they're missing out on what is actually what I want. And so it goes on and starts to share like their hearts are far from God. And they're doing all of the ritual kind of things. They're like, we're fasting. We're going to church. God, why won't you answer our prayers? God kind of is like, well, you've got a hard heart. You're mean to people and you're really selfish. They're like, but we're fasting. And God kind of responds with this. Then a few verses later, he says, no, this is the kind of fasting I want. Free those who are wrongly imprisoned. Lighten the burden of those who work for you. Let the oppressed go free and remove the chains that bind people. And then he gets even more specific. He's like, share your food with people who are hungry and give shelter to the homeless. Give clothes to those who need them and do not hide from relatives who need your help. How many are like, come on though, but I got a mother-in-law. Yeah, I'm just teasing. I love my mother-in-law. All right. So I just find it interesting. God just kind of, he's like, you're thinking it's by going to church and doing the right things. And he's like, but you're missing it. What I'm really wanting is for you to love me and love people. Like, what would that do? How could we activate that? What if you start to be kind with your words? It goes on and says, then your light, if you start serving people, loving people, then your light will break forth like the dawn and your healing will quickly appear. I want to just pause on that healing part. I'm wondering if some of the emotional, some of the physical, some of the relational healing you are longing for. Not everyone, but I more than what you think, your healing's on the backside of you serving. It sounds so counterintuitive, but I really believe when we're in a hurt place, we get stuck. And God says, yeah, when you start to love other people, I can actually unlock some of the things that you're stuck in. Not everybody, but I'm just wondering, healing is on the other side of serving. It goes on and says, then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. How many need a rear guard? All right? The Lord wants to be that for you. All right. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You'll cry for help, and he'll say, here I am. There's this idea that God says, when you start taking care of people and their needs, and you're helping people move forward in life that they could flourish, then I've got your back. I'll go before you. I'll answer your prayers. Healing will come. He drives it home even more, and he says, if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry, like satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Let me summarize it like this. He says, hey, I know the world's dark, but if you're a servant, I can bring light to you. Hey, I know the world feels empty, but if you are a servant, I can bring filling even though it feels empty. I know some of you, it might seem dry, but I can show up and bring refreshment. I know you think you're weak, but man, if you just love others, if you just love them, I can come and be strong for you. Okay, so this is what God's longing for. It's the great commandment. Love God, love others. And in Isaiah, he's like, this is true fasting. But then here's the thing. Let me give you this. Ezra was written around 350 BC. Isaiah 58 was written 350 years before it, okay? And this is what Isaiah says, and what's amazing to me is what Isaiah says is what Ezra 4:12 is. Ezra 4:12, those people are rebuilding, repairing, restoring. Isaiah, 350 years ago, he says this. This is the next verse. Your people, when you start loving others and helping the hungry and the homeless, your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. Isaiah's like, you know what? If you start loving people, remembering who God is, you're going to be rebuilders, repairers, restorers. And then 350 years later, they start loving people, and they're like, these people, they're rebuilding, repairing. And I'm like, could it be true even now? A few thousand years after that, could we be rebuilders, repairers, restorers? What does that look like? To be kingdom builders, to be people who love God and love others. This is Glocal missions for us. And let me give you one more verse, and then I'm going to start sharing what we're doing. All right? Acts 1:8. but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. I'm going to spend all of August talking about the Holy Spirit coming upon. That's 5 weeks. It'll be fantastic. Go. All right. And you, this is the part I want to talk about today. You will be my witnesses, telling people about me everywhere, in Jerusalem, through Judea, in Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. Like Jesus is the ultimate visionary. He's got 12 guys, and he's just like, all right, so here's the plan. We're going to start here. Then we're going to go a little bit further, and then we're going to take over the whole world. I'm out. And then he goes to heaven. But here we are, we're living it out. Like Jesus is just like, I know you don't have boats, cars, planes, things like that, but it's coming. Just give it time. Give it time. Go take care of it. And so I feel compelled, this Kingdom Builders, I want today to really kind of speak clearly about the global and local aspect of what the Bridge Church is doing. And here's what you're listening for. Are you supposed to be a part of some of it? Is God speaking to you about something that I'm going to, is there going to be a moment where you're like, oh man, I think it could be. And instead of moving to the excuse list and all let's just go. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through our hopeful plan of 2021 of the mission trips we're going to do. I understand COVID is going on, but here is what we're doing. We are active in Cambodia. This is what Ed and Mary are passionate about. We are really heavily invested in a YWAM base in Battambang, Cambodia. They started about the same time as the Bridge. They now have over 120 staff. They teach English to over, I think, around 1,000 students. Right now they're doing a lot of food distribution. And so when our teams go there, we do medical clinics, we do Bible training, we do English teaching, and we just love the people that are there. And this is awesome. About a year ago, the national government came to the YWAM base and they said, hey, would you help us, take over all of the youth development soccer teams? And so now they've got literally hundreds and hundreds of kids that come to their location. And the national women's team actually does training at their facility for soccer, right? So whenever I go there, we play some soccer too. And so Cambodia is this dynamic ministry because, and if you've been a part of the Bridge, we bring Cambodians here, and Garth, who leads the ministry, they come and they share, Cambodia is strategically located in Asia because it's one of the only open countries. So we go there, we love them, and then they go into closed countries, Laos, Vietnam, parts of Thailand, Myanmar, China. And so our heartbeat is, how can we set them up to go do the work? And so when we go, we love on them, and we pray for them, and we invest in them, take them out to eat. And this is, it's been over a year since I've been able to go. I go and I'll just listen to the stories, how they're losing family over giving their lives to Jesus and being shunned, and this heartbreak. And Jesus said, go. And so I'm going to say this over and over again. I just think if you want to grow, the opportunity is when you go. So many times we think it's what we're going to do for them, and God's like, oh, but you would be surprised what I have for you. I just think if you want to grow, you got to go. Now, some of you are like, Cambodia's not for me. That's great. We go to Mexico, and we build houses. And it's been amazing to watch a team from the Bridge Church move into not just providing a structure, but they love the families. In fact, yesterday, during some of the Serve Ocho that's going on, 8 days of serving here at the Bridge, a team got together and they made gift packages for all the people, all the families who we have built a house for in the past, and we're shipping these packages down. And my daughter got to be a part of that, and I love how Caitlin Reber got that organized. And when we go to Mexico, we really do build a house, but we also help with an orphanage, and we build relationships. And so maybe Mexico is the opportunity for you. And you can get dates on when we're planning on going if you go to thebridgechurch.cc and click Global Projects, I think is what it's called. And so there's that. But we also started going to Nicaragua. I don't know if you know this, but Nicaragua is the second poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It's Haiti and then Nicaragua. And where you go to the rural parts of Nicaragua and we help get water and modern bathrooms and different, establish different functions to allow greater health to happen in Nicaraguan villages. And so we have a trip planned for the end of July and August, but we're working on another one with City Point Church. So City Point is a church we planted about 5 years ago. Tommy, our Centerville campus pastor, is actually teaching there today and blessing them. We love them. They go every year too. And so we might do a combined trip, I think, over spring break. So more to come on that. But not only do we go to Nicaragua, we also accidentally started going to Uganda. You like how I said that? We had no intention of going to Uganda. One day I got a phone call and someone's like, hey, I'm doing a missions class and I want to do a missions project. I'm like, great. And I'm like, where are you going? And she's like, I don't know. I got some option in Uganda. So she goes to Uganda. Never been on a mission trip before. Don't pick the one that's 40 hours of travel away. It's not really that much because I want you to go. All right. So, anyways, while she's there, she finds out about this refugee settlement that got established over 20 years ago. Basically, there was a war. Some people moved to Uganda. They're not Ugandan, but they can't go home, and it's been like that for 20 years. So you have 100,000 people that are just stuck. And she starts to go and find out, like, how can I help? And they said, we really need a school. And she's like, well, what's keeping you from school? They're like, well, we don't have a building. We don't have a teacher. But then this guy who is Ugandan, I believe, and he was praying. And so he and his family moved. And they said, I think we're supposed to be teachers. The same time she's there. And she's like, oh, okay. So, well, now what do we need? Well, we've got a teacher. And now we need a school. And she's like, well, what do you need for school? They're like, well, we need a building and we need some land. And she's like, was there any available? And they're like, well, there's that whole area over there. And she's like, how much is it? And they rattled off something like 298,000, whatever the Ugandan currency is. And so she texts me. She goes, can we buy it? And I'm like, I don't know how much that is. And then she writes back, it's like $2,000. I'm like, yes. Yes, we will buy it. Because Kingdom Builders is set up to be able to be a blessing. And so we bought all these acres in this. We can start building a school, and now we're a little over 3 years into the school, and between second grade, between ages 2 and second grade, we have 315 kids attending the Bridge Christian Academy, and every year we add another classroom. Every year you help add another classroom, and so we've got plans and goals to get to 8th grade, but we've got bigger plans than that and trying to get more food security into where we are, and so Uganda, we're going back there, and we've had some Bridge people go there. So one more global trip I want to make you aware of is Israel. It's not really a mission trip as much as it's a place where you could grow, though. And I think some of you, you're like, oh, that's the bucket list. I'm like, well, let's go then. And so next Sunday, there's a meeting at 12:30, and we see all kinds of sites. We go to the Sea of Galilee. We go to Jerusalem. We float in the Dead Sea. So maybe God's saying that one. But here's what I know. Missions runs deep here at the Bridge Church because it's the way we rebuild, repair, restore. We're going to keep going. And I'm excited. Someone here today, I think, is like, it's time. You've heard about them, but it's now, and so you're going to sign up. So that's what we're doing globally. Nationally, what we do is we invest in church plants. So currently, there is a church, Vibrant Church in Florida, just outside of Miami. They picked an awkward year to start, wouldn't you agree? COVID makes it rough. So they've gotten kicked out of one facility, and then they got another facility. So they're only online, and they're hoping to relaunch in January, and so we've got that. But I'm going to bring out a whiteboard, I think, and kind of share with you what we're working on for local. Because some of you are like, I'm not there yet. So I want to tell you what we're doing right here in our region in southeast Iowa. And this is kind of front end. There's a little bit of what I'm going to share, like what we've been doing, what we're working on right now, and then also some of the ideas, not all of the ideas, of what we think God's calling us to. And so to help me kind of unpack this, what I've realized just recently is that there's 4 different avenues in which we are a blessing to our community. And the first one is we just straight up and do work. I mean, we've got projects that we do. We help people move. We help people with their yards. We, fix a gutter. These are projects that people contact the Bridge Church, and we just show up and we get stuff done. But then there's also there's programs that are run. And this is a little bit newer. We've got a few things going, but one of the programs that's coming that I'm really excited about is Bridges Out of Poverty. It's a national program that's proven to be super successful in helping people who are in poverty move forward, step out of it. And it actually, there's a guy who kind of founded this program in Burlington about 6 years ago, and it became super successful. His name's Vern Reed, and he just felt a passion to help start it in Ottumwa. So he started attending the Bridge a little over a year ago, and in the next few weeks, Bridges Out of Poverty is going to be starting. And it is a Churches of Ottumwa initiative that we're getting behind. And I love that. So that's one of the examples of programs. And then we have what I would call people. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but people to show up at the hub or call for all kinds of random things. Do you watch birds? That's not true. That would be funny though, wouldn't it? Just make sure you're awake. But could you help with a train ticket? Could you help me go get a Social Security card? I'm wondering if you can help me with health insurance. I'm having a bad day. Is there anyone I can talk to? Okay, so there's people that we do, that we kind of walk with. And then there are what I would call partners. These are existing ministries that we don't operate, but we help fund and we support. So Ezra Free Clinic is one of those. And I don't plan on writing all of them. Blessing Soup Kitchen would be another one. They serve over 100 meals Monday through Friday, and so we bless them. There's The Well, which is coming to Fairfield. There's Hope Ministries in Centerville. So these are ministry partners that we kind of connect with, okay? And so maybe some of you, your heartbeat is like, I like being a part of the free clinic, or I want to keep working with partner, and I want to encourage you to do that. Others of you are like, I love people. Can I just share like one of my big goals for this one? I don't know how it's going to happen, but what if the Bridge was the first point of contact that was just known citywide, maybe region-wide? Like when we call them, they help. It might not be us. We might connect you to a partner, but like it's just like, oh, you need something. You call these people. It could be case management where we're just walking along. I don't know. That's heartbeat of mine. So I want to share, though, sometimes these are connected. And an example of this would be someone's in some financial kind of situation. We want to help work them through some of their money things. And we might suggest, hey, you should take a growth group called FPU. All right? And so it's people, but it's also a financial or divorce care, right? And so divorce care is people who are in a hard spot, but there's a program, and so we kind of, so there's that. And so I'm going to kind of leave that because I need that space. All right. So there's these opportunities. And if you're interested about this Bridges Out of Poverty, stop by Next Steps or leave a comment, and we will get you more info because they got some meetings coming up. But here's what I want to spend the rest of my time on. I mean, right now, we're in 8 days of serving, right? And we've got this serve week kind of thing. And we're doing all kinds of projects, and I'd love if you could be a part of those. But we got like the same dozen guys that do every project. And so like what I want to do is I want to try to help simplify and invite you in. Could you play a role a couple times a year? If you want more, but I'm just like, what if you could give up a couple times a year? And here's some of the things that are happening. We have a consistent call to help people move. Now, when I read Isaiah 58, I was amazed at how many times it brought up, are you helping people with shelter? Are you helping the people? And I would say, if we don't help them move, it doesn't really matter that they got a shelter. And so we've got a team of people, they're always helping people move. Now, normally we try to do our projects on second Saturday. You know what I haven't had happen very often? When should we move? I know, the second Saturday of the month when we have all the volunteers together. Never works like that, right? How about this? I don't know if you know this, but we have a team of people that go around maintaining, taking care of mowing yards, shoveling snow. And they'll do this for people who are maybe older, or maybe they're doing it for one of the partners that like, and here's what I've learned. Grass grows more than once a month. And so second Saturday is great, except for those off weeks when, we got more yards to mow. What about this? Vehicles. we 4 times a year will enter into the opportunity to actually invite people who are single parents to get a free oil change. Or if you're just in a bad financial spot, we'll give you a free oil change. We're not trying to take work away from another business. We're just trying to help those who are so overwhelmed, so stuck. Can we get them a little bit more forward? Sometimes we'll work on a couple other things in the vehicles. And first service I shared, we're working towards trying to get a lift. And someone was watching online, and they texted me, and they said, I've got a place with a lift, and I will supply the oil. I've got you. So it's like when I start talking about this, like people are like, oh, I can do something. And they, right? What about, there's just times where like someone's like, can you help us paint? Can you rip off a porch? Can you build a wheelchair ramp? So there's just all these other projects, and we just call them projects. All right. This is what we're already doing. We're already doing this, but I'm wondering if you could be a part of the us. And the next step for this is honestly to take Growth Track and just get contact, because we're going to put a team of people in charge of each of these. And you're not on the hook like, no. But like, what if like you're like, I can help once? Why? Because when we serve, we unlock God's blessing. We become rebuilders, repairers, restorers. It's who we're wired to be. There's one more though. We did it one time about 8 years ago. The craziest thing. I don't understand how it even happened. We ended up building a house. We pulled the only building permit in the city of Ottumwa that year. And we built a house, and then we sold it at an advantage rate to a couple that couldn't get a normal mortgage because of just where they were in life. And I'll tell you, it hit some people like, I don't think that's a good idea. What was interesting is the couple we sold it to, they ended up getting saved in our church, baptized. Like it was, why? Because we were a blessing. We didn't lead with like, well, do you know Jesus yet? No. We just are the people of God. We're kingdom builders. And so we're looking for the right property to either build on or renovate. But I'm excited. I think this is coming quick. Some of you are like, I want in on that. Some of you are like, I think I want to go to Mexico. Great. Here's some training. Let's go build a house. So this is what we're doing locally. I capture some of it, not all of it. But I'm wondering if you might not be activated by, if not this, something I said today. So here's a couple of action steps, applications. The first is this. All of what I've talked about today is partially funded by kingdom builders. So we have our general offering and kingdom builders. And that's, I'm only going to say one more thing about the money thing. I have a dream that if you're a senior in high school, you get a gift from the Bridge Church. If you've been a regular attendee who's in on a dream team, we're going to gift you a free mission trip on your senior year. This is what I want to do. What would it look like if we just said, hey, you know what matters more than college or anything else? It's the Great Commission. Going to all the world, sharing the good news of Jesus. I want to help you do that. Another application, maybe you're not in a spot to give to kingdom builders, but maybe you're like, I used to be more involved than what I am. Like I'm that person who kind of just started, life got crazy. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't like I was like, I'm mad at you, God, but just now you're in this moment where you're like, I'm not as connected as I'd like to be. I want to invite you to take Growth Track next week. If you want to learn more about that, you can click online or you can stop by Next Steps. But next Sunday we start Growth Track. It's 2 weeks long, and the end game is to get you on a team. Either you help on a Sunday or you help sometime during the year. But you got an opportunity there. Maybe some of you, it's this service surge. I don't know where I'm at yet, but I'll do an hour this week. Could you do 1 hour this week, loving a neighbor? Maybe sign up a project. Maybe just do your own thing. But what would it look like if we were a church and we just said, you know what, this week I'm gonna not do the thing that I normally do because I want to help someone. If you need ideas, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're gonna kick out ideas you could do at home. And the last one is this. Are you supposed to go on a global project? Like it's you? Maybe you've been before, maybe. And you're like, I can't afford it. You talk to us, we'll find scholarship money. There's people who can't go but would help you go. I promise you. Because when you go, you grow. And we're a church that is committed to having our faith move forward. What's God saying to you? Let's pray. Lord, in these moments, I'm just asking that your Spirit would activate a next step. And that person who's just in that, I'm sensing there's someone who's just in a relationship struggle right now. They hear all this and they're like, I wish I had capacity to go take a step towards that, but right now you're hurting, and I want to just pause our service and pray for you. Sorry for the pain you're going through. The betrayal of I think in your heart you're like, I didn't sign up for this. And so I want to say, hey, first of all, you're loved by Jesus. You are loved by Jesus. He sees you. These serving options, they're not going away. You move to a place where you need community, though. You can't hold this on your own. So we're a church, the arms open. Want to do the best we can to help move you forward. I'm sensing someone who wants to go, but they're afraid their spouse is going to say no. God, I pray a hope into that situation. I don't know who you are. You're like, I want to go, but I don't know if I can. I say take a risk on God. Let's see what happens. And for each of you as you leave, may the joy of the Lord be your strength. May your faith begin to flourish again as you say, God, I want back in on you. I think that was someone today. Someone said, I want back in, God. I've missed it. I've missed it for too long. I'm back in. So I pray that there would just be an activation of your spirit towards the things of God, the good news of Jesus. So Lord, we thank you. We praise you. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Hey, if you need to learn more, check out the website or visit Next Steps. We'll see you Sunday or sooner. Get your serve on.
Well, Pastor Marty just shared with us an incredible message about Glocal missions, and we would love for you to get involved with Serve Week. It's kicked off this weekend, and there's all kinds of projects for you all week long to get involved in. So I want to encourage you, go to thebridgechurch.cc and find a project where you can get involved this week. Hey, thanks again for joining us. We hope to see you guys again real soon.